Hello, MF final students. Finally, I'm getting to talk to you face to face. I'm recording a lecture, but I'm not sure whether I'll be able to upload it or not. Pray to God I am able to do that. Well, and that's very good that आप लोगों ने you reacted so beautifully on WhatsApp. जैसे आप लोग as students have been reacted to me in my class. Thank you for being such amazing students, first of all. Yes. And secondly, beta, let me tell you, आप लोगों ने very justified in telling me कि whatever notes I have sent you, I had sent you so that you get a feel of what criticism is all about. You know, to let you know that criticism is definitely not easy. We'll have to work very hard on this paper. Passing any exam is easy, but doing well is difficult. You all know. To begin with, I'll be very मैं बहुत पिन पॉइंटेडली आपको समझाने की कोशिश करूँगी बिकॉज आई विल नॉट बी एबल टू अपलोड entire lectures. If I am able to, if I get any help from the college, then अगर वो एक घंटे के होंगे तो definitely I'll be able to record them. But जो मेरे फ़ोन की you know 10,000 रुपीज़ के फ़ोन की जो लिमिटेशन होती है उसमें I'll have to do justice. So what's criticism? Criticism क्या होता है? What is criticism? You can, it's आलोचना in Hindi, but then it's not आलोचना in the sense of the criticism in the sense that you know it exactly as romanticism is not what you know it to be. You get my point? So basically now let's begin with what criticism is. So right from the times of the Greeks, okay, we're talking about times of Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, Euripides, Aeschylus, you name it. All these people had written beautiful literature. So when there was such a lot of beautiful literature getting collected, of course there were reasons to people to actually start criticism, a beautiful branch of knowledge as to what should be the rules that govern literature. What are the rules that govern writing a poetry, writing an essay? What are the rules that govern the output, the result of the output? If I'm writing poetry, am I writing it for myself? Am I writing it for you all? Am I writing it for it's like the difference between Keats and Shelley. Keats wrote it for the sake of pleasure, whereas Shelley, his best friend, made it a vehicle of his idealism to convey a message. If winter comes, can spring be far behind? So those kind of messages. Now both the friends had a lot of debate about it. They said no, Keats was an art for art's sakeist, कि कला के लिए है यार, उसको और किसी चीज़ के लिए, we are not going to do anything with it. Whereas Shelley said नहीं, I will give a message to the world. My poetry is going to be read as message of optimism in depressing times. T.S. Eliot had a very different view of what poetry should be. When he was asked, that there is no rhythm in your poetry, he said, in this destructive times of rhythmic rumblings, I only hear the rhythmic rumblings of destruction. Who do you think am I going to write this? Why do you think I'm going to write a very lyrical poetry that you could be very proud of? So basically, there are so many things to it. So, okay, so let's start with what criticism is about. Criticism is all about what are the rules of writing different genres of literature, as essays, poetry, tragedy, comedy, you name it. Then what is it written for? Why should there be literature at all? And you're all literature students. You all know that we get amazing pleasure out of our subject. We love the poetry, we love the essays, we love the novels. Somebody's an avid novel reader. I'm an avid I just like anything that is literary, whether it be ghazals in Urdu or any poetry in English or in Hindi. Anything that gives you upgradation as a human being, gives you a message of, it relieves you inside. That can be the reason why people write literature. So there were all these things that have been thought about all through these ages. It started from the Greeks. The Greeks were revived in the Renaissance period. I've told you everything about the Renaissance period. There was a revival of the Greek culture. There was a revival of the Greek literature, which we call the New Humanism. And then they started reading these ancient writers. The ancient writers had at that time been discussing लिटरेचर कैसे लिखा जाए, क्यों लिखा जाए, किसके लिए लिखा जाए, उसका एम क्या है, why क्यों 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 somebody has to write a massive book or books after books? There has to be a reason. तो उसके सब चीज़ों के बारे में जब सोचा गया, उसे हम लोगों ने क्रिटिसिज्म कहा. आपके कोर्स में वी स्टार्ट, पहले वी टू स्टार्ट विद Longinus, but I think we start with Aristotle now. Aristotle was the first person who had written about, it's been a lot of time that I've been reading. So he'd written about 32 subjects, and tragedy was one of them. Poetics he's written. Tragedy was one of them, where he gave us rules of good tragedy. And then he gave us the concept of catharsis. I'm only giving an outline in this lecture. Then you come down to people who are like, you know, it has been completely taken over by Dryden, but in the middle, there have been all the writers who have been writing something or the other about criticism. But अगर आप major chunks लेते हैं तो Aristotle है, उसके बाद we come to the Romantics, and that was a very great, of course, Dryden. I cannot forget Dryden and Swift, who were very great critics, who were writing a lot about criticism. And you have Dryden's poesy, dramatic poesy, essay on dramatic poesy also. There they had given solid rules about what literature should be like. Then come the Romantics, who Coleridge and Wordsworth, who write the lyrical ballads and completely reject what the Augustines like Dryden and Swift were talking about. And then you come down to, these are Romantics. Then you come down to Matthew Arnold, very, very beautiful, very simple. You know, he gives you, this is the idea of beauty and idea of truth and all that, why literature should be written about. The greatest, of course, to my intelligence and to my knowledge, is of course T.S. Eliot, who actually has given the biggest he's a path breaker and iconoclast. Of course, there was a time when he was criticizing very great names like Milton, and was saying that they were the ones who were damaging literature. But at the same time, he corrected himself later about these people. But then he comes with this theory of the dissociation of sensibilities, or dissociation of sensibilities, and he gives you, he writes this essay, Tradition and Individual Talent, where he tells you there is nothing called an individual talent. Every person on earth, everybody actually is somewhere or the other influenced by what has happened in the past. If I am a poet today, I am indebted to all the poets who have been writing for the last 5,000 years in India. If I am a writer, if I am a writer of any of the genres today, I have to be indebted to the literature that has gone back since times immemorial, in every language, in every country, in every part of the world. So that is what he calls tradition. It's a complete river, a flow of all the languages, all the countries writing together. That forms a river of literature, and I have drunk from it. I have taken my draughts from it, and I have made what poetry is all about today. My poetry is indebted to that tradition. I cannot have an individual talent. There cannot be an individual talent which is bereft of any influence of the past. That is T.S. Eliot. I'll explain you more about the dissociation of sensibilities. And then, of course, is the modern age, where you are doing feminism. Of course, very, very, Marxism and feminism were very much read together once upon a time. But then you have 4 waves of feminist literature. There was Ilan Scholter talks about it. I will talk about it in detail, but then let me come to Derrida, deconstruction, and my favorite, very challenging. If you want to do it, we will continue with it. If you don't, I cannot make the notes easy for you. I can explain them to you, but when the notes, the language of Derrida, the language in which Derrida can be explained, is always a bit complicated, bache. Now we are coming to Derrida. So what is structuralism? What is deconstruction? This is very important. Now, there were rules and regulations and everything was going fine. Okay, there were Augustines writing. Then comes lyrical ballads of Wordsworth and Coleridge, who say, nahi, Augustines, you were wrong in your, now let me come to Augustines. What were Augustines doing? By heroic couplet hai, you know, poetry in a very high standard language. It is only for an elite class of the society. Whereas Wordsworth and Coleridge came and said, nothing doing. They are writing their lyrical ballads. They're saying nothing doing. Poetry is for the common people. It is about the common flower, about the common piece of grass, about the common river, about the common mountain. It is for the consumption of the common public. And it can be written in a blank verse or in any which in colloquial language of the people. That's about it. So there was a great change. T.S. Eliot comes, scientific, makes criticism totally scientific, very, very scientific. And then comes this post-war destructive world where everything loses meanings, where institutions crumble, no faith in religion, no faith in marriage, no faith in any institution that binds you. So how can you have faith in meaning? If I say कि नहीं नहीं बेटा, ये शेली की ये पोएम का मीनिंग ये है, the deconstructionist said no way. How can you say that? We say that the opposite is the meaning, that there is no meaning, that the meaning shifts, because the post-war world actually was a very, very strange world where things had lost meaning, relationships, everything had lost meanings. There was a new god, that is money. Everything was shifting. So according to them, everything is open-ended. You know, an interesting thing about deconstruction when I teach children. मैंने इंग्लैंड में when I was in Oxford, I was teaching in England and I was teaching in this school. वहाँ पर मैंने रामायण की स्टोरी सुनाई बच्चों को कि ऐसा भाई एक राजा था, उसको दूसरा राजा की वाइफ अच्छी लगी and he took her away. They did not know that this is a religious text. I just told them this is a pre-degree course में I was teaching, and I asked them who did they like the most. And can you imagine what the answer was? They liked Ravan the most. I asked them, why did you like Ravan the most? And they said he knew what he wanted in life and he got it. He liked Sita, he wanted her and he got her. So, well, this is something that cannot change for us. You know, this is not liked by us. But look at the open-ended text over there. You will read Ramayana from a religious point of view, where Ravan is a horrible person for you. For a person who's not religiously oriented, Ravan is the person who knows what he wants and gets what he wants, and life is given only once. That is their philosophy. So look at the way the meaning deconstructs. Look at the way the meaning shifts, and that is what deconstruct. It's not that easy. You know, when I was in Oxford and I asked this professor, can you explain this to me in a line? Can you explain this to me in a line? What deconstruction is? He said, well, it is a circle without a center. And can you imagine that? Can you imagine a circle without a center? You cannot. Okay? Or can you imagine a center without a circumference? You cannot. So basically, deconstruction is much, much more to it, very scientific. It is a development on Ferdinand de Saussure's structuralism. We are going to do a lot more about it. This is just to introduce you. I will take it from Aristotle. From next onwards, we will graduate to Derrida. Let's leave those notes there. Read them if you can. Try and get a hang of it. I will tell you more about it, about deconstruction. But after talking to you on WhatsApp, I thought let's take it step by step. You know, because it also grew. Criticism also has to grow step by step. So let's take it step by step. I will deal with this Aristotle and catharsis, and then we will come down to Wordsworth and Coleridge in your course. Then we'll come down to Matthew Arnold. Then we'll come to T.S. Eliot, and then we'll come down to Derrida and Ilan Showalter if you want to. So I hope sincerely that I've been able to put some sense into my little Chunnumunus, and see you soon.